Hello all you dads out there, my name is JB the Mentor, and I want to take some time to talk about the things they don't tell you when you're a single divorced dad. So when you're a single dad, you shed a lot of tears, you feel a lot of pain, and you'll wonder if you've done enough to save the marriage, if you've done enough to hold on to your family, if you were the man that you needed to be, or you just walked away because you didn't know what else to do. When you're a divorced dad, they don't tell you that most of the people that you know will abandon you. They will point fingers at you. Friends, family, they'll blame you. They'll say things like, I can't believe you're doing this. She deserves more. Why would you put the kids in this predicament? And they never take the time to think about how sometimes when something that you loved is so precious to you, did you give it up and you walk away from it, that it takes two to decide to delete something that is precious. Not just one person, but they don't take that into account. How when dinners and special occasions and events that you used to attend because you thought that they were really looking at both of you, they was really looking at one of you, that you won't get invited to these events anymore because they hold you as the cause for what happened. When you're single, when you're a divorced dad, they don't tell you that you live in a state of depression, because you're always wondering if you can be the kind of dad that will make a difference now that you're not in that household anymore. When you're a divorced dad, they don't tell you that the most important thing becomes proximity. How close you are to your child, how close you are to this extended family, because they still are family regardless to the new circumstances. They don't tell you that when you break up, that yes, she will harbor some bitterness towards you, but if you work on being a great dad, it will dissolve, because her need for you to continue to give her child or her children what they need from their dad will trump any emotions that she may have. They don't tell you that when you're a single divorced dad, you will work around the clock, making sure that you're still a provider, you're still a protector, you're still a leader, you're still a role model, you're still a good listener, that you hug and you support your child, and that you know every little minute thing that happens in that child's life. That when you are this single divorced dad, that you spend a lot of time modeling the behaviors that you know that are important for your child to see. That when you are a single divorced dad, you have to constantly renegotiate co-parenting, because it gets stale, it gets boring, and it has to be redefined because the child gets older responsibilities change, and what you decided to do at 4 is no longer effective when the child is 12. And when the child is 15 and 16, what you negotiated at 12 is no longer appropriate for 15 and 16. And that you make sure that your child feels a sense of comfort, a sense of stability from not just one of you, but both of you. They don't tell you that when you become the single divorced dad, that taking the high road, you'll be doing that often. Because it's not about winning, it's about what's important. And the child is important. They don't tell you that when you're a single divorced dad, you feel so much guilt, you live with so much guilt, and life is depressing because you feel at times that had you made another decision, maybe your child would be a little bit happier. Maybe you would be a little bit happier. But if you really think about it deep down, you know that there wasn't any way to coexist with this person, because both of you had reached a point of no return. The impasse was impossible to crack the code. And so you go your separate ways. But that pain is hard to deal with. That depression is difficult to deal with. And so you suffer. They don't tell you that when you're a single, divorced dad, you feel you have no right to happiness, that you shouldn't date, that someone shouldn't look at you and smile and say, hey, I think you're a great guy and I would love to spend some time with you. That you don't put yourself in those situations for that to happen. And then to your surprise, what they don't tell you is that one day your son comes to you and say, hey dad, are you dating? Are you seeing someone? What are you doing to be happy? And you start to think about it. Oh my God, this child has evolved, because at one time he was saying that, why me? Why did you and mommy do this? And now he's thinking about how he can encourage me to perhaps do some things that I haven't invested in myself, which is think about my happiness just a little bit more. When you're a single divorced dad, you realize that the world doesn't think a whole lot of you, because they're so into the business of blaming that they never take the time to say, hey dad, you need a hug? You need some support? Is there anything that I can help you with? Because dads don't get the same recognition. Dads don't receive the same attention. And dads are always the reason that a marriage goes south. They don't tell you these things. They don't give you a divorce manual and say, here you go, dad. Read chapters 1 through 10, and after reading this, you'll have a very good idea of what it is that you are now going to be faced with. That doesn't exist. So let me tell you what I can tell you about being the divorced single dad. That you will spend all your time working on being the best man that you can possibly be. That you will spend all your time making sure that this child knows that availability, you've given that to him 100% and then some. As a divorce, single dad, you pray every night that you see this child grow up and not need you anymore in a capacity of stability, of sustaining him. But the most important thing that you will learn and that you will take away from this, being a single divorced dad, is this. The two of you decided to go your separate ways for a reason. And that reason can change from family to family. But what's most important is this. When you and the mom no longer love each other, and that house does not feel like love, and it doesn't have this energy that says this is a great family, and you decide to dissolve it, it is best for your child or your children to see you in a moment where love is present, when love feels good, and somebody looking into your eyes saying, hey, you know what? I'm digging you. And I want to give you some time because you're special. And see, when you can't get that with the children's mother, you are creating a space inside of your child's head that says that love may not be possible. So always remember that sometimes the love that you need to model will not always take place with the person that you married. And you just have to decide to release the guilt, the shame, and the pain, and move forward with the love game. And understand that being a loving father, a loving dad, has so many dimensions to it. And yes, Dad, you will never discover all the layers to it, because every day a new layer is added. But I want you to know that it will get easier, it will become less stressful, and you will begin to see the fruits of your labor with your child and co-parenting. So remember that life is about how many times you get up, not how many times you fall down. And as a dad, you're going to make some mistakes, but that don't mean you should be penalized forever. My name is JB the Mentor, and I hope all you dads find something within this message that you can walk away with and apply it to your life. Remember to love your community, be the change that you want to see, and remember that every divorced dad has the capacity to be a better man, not just for himself, but for his family. Remember to hit that like button, that subscribe button, that bell in the middle, so that when new content is released, you'll be the first ones to receive it.